Previously on Mousero. And that is it, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. You love it? And I got it done 20 years later, just in time for Bloodlines 2, right? Right? Bloodlines 2? That's coming out any day now, right? Right? It's been delayed 5 times, but it's coming out any day, right? Bloodlines 2. That game is never coming out. You know, I wanna like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, but I can't. I wanna say that multiple delays, inconsistent trailers, and a complete shift in developers does not show up in the final product, but then I'd be lying. It brings me no joy to say any of what I'm about to say, because I do want more games set in the world of darkness, trademark. But I need to be honest here, Bloodlines 2 is bad. Of course, I can't make that statement without explaining myself, and in order to explain myself, I'll need specifics. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is the sequel to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 1. Stop me if any of this is confusing. Bloodlines 1, as it must now be called, was a cult classic from 2004. I am not part of that cult. I was 5 at the time, and I wouldn't enjoy being a vampire in Los Angeles until 2020. But I did like it for the reasons that everyone liked it: a depth of role-playing, a complex world, and the uniquely stupid and hostile atmosphere of the early 2000s. It was also about as stable as a meth head in an earthquake. Due to a series of unfortunate events, one of them named Activision, the game was released in a state that would make the infamous performance of Fallout New Vegas seem rock solid by comparison. So waiting until 2020 was definitely the smart move, if unintentionally, because by that time the modding community had crowdsourced the game back to its intended glory. So dismissing Bloodlines 2 for being released rough would be unfair. It's almost worthy of applause that they were so committed to the bit that they even tried to replicate the same development hell. However, my problems with VTMB 2 run deeper than the bugs that were left behind by a horrific development cycle. Before we begin, know that I won't be touching much of the story, because I'm one of those people that if I talk about the story for 1 minute, I'm going to be talking about it for an hour, and I want this video to be under 30 minutes. So I won't be covering spoilers or addressing plot holes, numerous as they are. That'll be for another time. As opposed to Bloodlines 1, where the player character was a fledgling vampire, fangs barely sharpened before they got thrown in at the deep end, now the woman of the hour is Nomad, sometimes referred to as Fire with a PH. An elder vampire from back when Istanbul was Constantinople. Usually, a 9th or 10th gen bloodsucker like her could take apart every single person in the city, human or vampire, with ease. But she's held in check by a strange mark on the back of her hand, thus creating one of the 2 driving forces of the story. The other driving force is the other player character named Fabian, a Malkavian vampire, a clan of bloodsuckers famous for their hobby of getting locked into heated arguments with inanimate objects. Unfortunately, Fabian has to take a passenger seat as the voice in Nomad's head on account of him being thoroughly dead, and Nomad the one that killed him. That's not really a spoiler, it's in the first mission after the tutorial. So there's the deal: get rid of the mark, and figure out why Fabian Silverhand is trapped in your noggin. Character-wise, Nomad is Nomad. They are what the player makes of them, and a wise, stealthy Nomad is just as canon to the story as an arrogant, violent one. The presence of a voice actor makes the roleplay potential that much more narrow compared to the old days of the semi-silent protagonist. But I'm willing to overlook that because I liked the voice acting, I found it enjoyable, and I liked the character's design. Overall, I just liked Nomad, and probably wouldn't have played the game nearly as much if it wasn't for her. I like Fabian too, though to a lesser degree. He strikes a good balance of sharp and dull. A lot of the time he's a laid-back, dopey little guy, but when the chase is on, so is he. Fabian also solves an old problem. In Bloodlines 1, there was always the horrible choice of do you play as a Malkavian for their funny dialogue, or do you play as one of the other, more vanilla clans. But now, they've just given you the Malkavian as a factory extra. Now I can be a Ventrue, soaking up damage by the bucketful, without having to lose the opportunity to have a heated conversation with a filing cabinet. But that leads to the problem. You see, there are murders going on in the city. Some in the past, a similar MO in the present, and Detective Fabian is on the case. But if I were to replace every word in the remainder of this video with the word repetitive, it would still not get across the amount at which these sections like to go through the same motions over and over again. Because our man Fabian has a limited bag of tricks. On every NPC he meets, it's a matter of reading their mind, wiping their memory, or pretending to be somebody else. With that last one being the worst of it, as it's just a 2-stage dialogue wheel which you need to repeat until you find the right combination. Like every person is just a 2-stage dialogue. Talking to inanimate objects is fun the first time, still special by the third, and you're going to be doing it about 20. And why do I need to talk to a tape recorder? It's a tape recorder. It already talks back. Crazy is only crazy until it becomes mundane. Then it's all just bloat, or worse. Like when Fabian just needs to use the elevator to go downstairs, but a character literally blocks his path to say, "Hold on there, Buster Brown, you need to talk to these 3 NPCs for me, then you can pass by." And the only option is to do it, instead of, say, taking the stairs. Despite the intrigue of the murder mystery, it's these sections that seriously hurt my drive for additional playthroughs. Because I know I'm going to have to go through these sections of walking to character X, using ability 1, then repeat. It's not challenging, it's tedious. This is what happens in development hell. Priorities go completely off the rails. Where we have time to go from one end of the map to the other and back again just to grab a book, but there's no time to flesh out the characters. Here is where I could really see the cuts that are being made to this game. Like the La Sombra vampire Onda, shown to be ruthless at times and compassionate at times, but never quite connecting the two. Or Patience, who's supposed to be an artistic toreador, but her art seems more like a flesh-crafting Zemitzi. The Anarch leader Kasumi just told me to go fuck myself repeatedly, but then again I was playing as a Silver Spoon Ventrue, so your experience may vary. This guy Silky seemed like an okay sort, but his only role is as an ability vendor. And you may wonder, what's an ability vendor? Well, Miss Nomad is not just one type of vampire, she can actually enjoy abilities from every other clan. Well, the 5 of the 13 that are actually in the game. Personally, I wasn't a fan of this idea because I have nothing against multi-classes, but I wouldn't want any of them living in my neighborhood. Still, I can see the potential of mixing certain disciplines with others to create fun, game-breaking combos, and I might have even tried that if the system weren't so exhausting. Before you can spend experience points to unlock them, first you need to feed off humans with various personality types. The Sanguine, who are sex pests and will follow you into an alley where you can feed on them. The Phlegmatic, who will run from you into an alley where you can feed on them. And the Caloric, who will chase you to the ends of the earth to kick your ass, usually into an alley where you can feed on them. Assuming they don't get taken out by the police along the way, which does happen. And I hope that never gets changed because it is hilarious. This guy comes at me looking to throw down only to immediately have Seattle PD evict him from this plane of existence.
The original Stretch Armstrong with ultimate stretching power.
But these are all so time consuming. Checking the area for a target, luring them into a dark place, then feeding, and if you're anything like me, immediately stopping again because there was some bum you didn't see lurking at the back of the alley. And this process has to be done multiple times for each type of skill to unlock. At the higher end, we're talking over 10 people, maybe even 15 across all 3 types. I wanted to try out some of the Bruja or Banu Hakim skills, but not that much. Especially not when my innate skills were handling me just fine, and I still only equipped 4 of them at a time. What's worse is that aside from this ability trader stuff, there is no in-game economy. Absolutely nothing to speak of in terms of buying or selling. Nothing at all. There are certain potions in the game, which are so generic, I prefer when they were actually called blood bags, but c'est la vie. Those can only be found in missions. Not bought, not stored, not even out in the open. They might as well be a collectible. Now, even though there's no option to own guns, they are there, but you won't use them. Nomad uses telekinesis to pick them off the ground, fire the full mag in one spree, then huck the thing like a rock. Now, in a way that makes sense to me. Mechanically, guns are supposed to be a temporary power-up. Narratively, Nomad is from the 16th century and slept through the last 2 world wars. Can't expect her to appreciate the nuances of a tactical reload. The issue is that when they are dropped by enemies, you must engage in the fun of looking for a black gun on a usually black floor. It's like trying to solve a magic eye picture while 3 burly men try to resculpt your face with a hammer. There is a mechanic to counteract this with the vampire detective vision. An inelegant solution, but it helps things out. However, it will not help you pick up the right item. I've lost track of the amount of times I've been trying to grab a gun off the floor only to grab a bottle instead. And in a way, that is really my big issue with the game above all else. Because I might be able to forgive everything about this game. I could look past all the bad to just the good. The great universe, the nice setting, and the story that is on balance more good than bad. But the concrete brick that breaks my camel's back is the combat. This combat loop just gets under my skin. I'll work from an example here with my most hated enemy type, these vampire zombie things called moonflowers. They can't be fed on to recharge my vampire abilities. They cannot be snuck up on, at least I never had any luck trying the stealthy approach. And they attack in groups of 3 or more. This arena in the underground section nearly gave me a conniption. Having to fend off them, plus some vampire hunters in this mosh pit. There's a point where I have to take on 4 of these fuckers at once. This is a first-person brawler, so when I take on one, it's only one. That target is the full focus on my screen. So how the hell am I supposed to deal with the other 3? It's the problem of every first-person melee-focused game. I need to get close, but to get close means losing track of other threats, which is very important when they can pull off my health bar by the handful. Vampire abilities would be the balance to this, and they are fun. Seeing a group of 7 jarheads all snap their own necks in perfect unison is a spectacle every single time. But as I mentioned, the zombies don't give me the blood that I need to use my abilities. So it all comes down to the potions that I'm supposed to be finding throughout the level but are not obvious to be found. Okay, that went much better. But here's the thing. Shut up. My healing supplies did not carry over between saves. That is almost unforgivable. and the boss fights are worse for this by a mile. One big threat, but there will always be another 3 to 5 backups to hit you from the blind side. Which is what led me to rage quit when I encountered the first boss fight. And to whoever designed the boss fight where all your abilities get taken away, I get your instinct. Change the formula by taking away the player's toolkit. But that was stupid. Being a vampire is the unique appeal of the game, but when you take that away, what's left? Now I'm just a martial artist that can't go out in the sun. I suppose there's still telekinesis, but that's more of a utility. It feels like the boat level in Mirror's Edge, where someone thought the best thing for their fast, open parkour game was to make it compact and slow. Actually, the combat in Bloodlines 2 and Mirror's Edge 2 feel very similar, emphasizing movement, kicks, dash dodging, and repositioning enemies. But in that game it kinda worked for me because the moves felt easier to pull off and the enemies could be stunned when they crashed into the environment or each other. Not so much the case in Bloodlines 2. I could never pull off a drop kick or a side kick to save my life. And enemies recover too quickly for stuns to mean anything. Though I am pleased you do have the same freedom of movement and can kick enemies off of buildings. Maybe the issue was me. To some degree I do hope so. I did suffer from performance issues throughout, which I would usually write off in the game's favor since my PC is a couple of years behind the times. But even when I tried lowering the game to potato graphics and setting it to performance mode, I was still regularly getting dropped into a slideshow. So if you had issues running the game, know that you're not alone. Also, I was playing on normal, which in retrospect seemed more like hard. I dropped it down to super crybaby easy mode for the final boss because I was just so done by that point. And afterwards, I'm pretty sure I got one of the worst endings where the entirety of Seattle's vampire population got exterminated by Catholic jackboots. All because of my decision to spare or kill one character. Just one decision out of many determined the whole outcome. And we won't spoiler tag that because I'm not telling you what decision I made that caused it, and supposedly there are multiple endings. I hope you can find one of the better endings should you play Bloodlines 2 for yourself. But personally, knowing that every bloodsucker in the Emerald City got burned while Nomad got away is alright with me. I spent 13 hours trying to get these undead imbeciles to play nice, and all I got for it was this migraine. Now, I'm rewriting this last part because originally I was going to end on a much softer note. Make this the other half of my insult sandwich. Bringing back the composure from the first game was a touch of brilliance as the background music really helped set the mood. I'd much rather have something like this try and fail and have a million battle royales like goddamn Blood Hunt. And the further I am from this game, from the anger of getting stun-locked in the corner by 15 enemies, the more favorable I look at it. But as the days have passed and the number of people kicking this game into the dirt has risen, I asked myself, is this the hill I want to die on? And the answer is no. I already did this sort of thing for 2077, defending that game for a long time, and even then I lost faith before the Edgerunner's rebirth. I hope this game too can go through a similar redemption arc. Hell, as we talked about in the beginning, Bloodlines 1 was barely functional before being revived, and that was in a time when patches were basically unheard of. But I just don't have the energy to offer more support than the people who are actually getting paid. And not to praise myself, but from the discourse I've seen going on lately, I think I've already been one of the more complimentary voices for Bloodlines 2. If the people in charge are somehow able to fix all of the awful decisions like the cluttered combat, unintuitive leveling system, stop and go story, and the fucking boss fights, no idea how they would solve all that, especially since this game is now spread over 2 developers who I'm pretty sure didn't talk to each other. But making a list of your problems tends to help solve them, at least in my experience. The World of Darkness universe is very interesting, now that I've been suckered into it, and I would like more opportunities to visit. But first we gotta face facts, and acknowledge that this was disappointing. So, thank you all for being here, and what else do I have to say? Oh yeah, you remember that one teaser trailer that promised that Damsel would be in the game, and her character model looked like absolute shit? Well, she actually is in the game, and her character model looks mostly better. I mean, it's for one scene / one conversation, maybe you guys can get more, but I genuinely did not see that coming. I thought that was going to be another false marketing clip, as is so numerous these days. If they're going to go the Phantom Liberty route at some point, may I suggest Smiling Jack or Velvet Velour for the DLC. But those would be my second or third choices, as my number one pick would be, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Officer Chunk. Look, if you want this job done sneakily, send a Nosferatu. I'm not built for this. Shut up, everyone's dead. Oh, not this guy. This man is soulless! No wonder I can kill the guards with no loss of humanity. They're liches.